48 C.S. Lewis, quotes about God, love, life and personal success. The British novelist and essayist C.S. Lewis was best known for his essays on literature and his explanations of Christian teachings. Lewis was an established literary figure whose impact is increasingly recognized by scholars and teachers. He is known and respected for both his allegorical fantasy, particularly the classic children's series The Chronicles of Narnia, 1965, as well as his accessible and persuasive works on Christian belief and theology such as The Screwtape Letters, 1941, and Mere Christianity, 1952. Source: Find here some motivational quotes said by C.S. Lewis on God, life, love, relationship, and personal success to find some motivation. C.S. Lewis, quotes about God. 1. You can't know, you can only believe, or not. C.S. Lewis. 2. We are not necessarily doubting that God will do the best for us, we are wondering how painful the best will turn out to be. C.S. Lewis. 3. A man can no more diminish God's glory by refusing to worship him than a lunatic can put out the sun by scribbling the word darkness on the walls of his cell. C.S. Lewis. 4. Pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. C.S. Lewis. 5. I have learned now that while those who speak about one's miseries usually hurt, those who keep silence hurt more. C.S. Lewis. 6. God can't give us peace and happiness apart from himself, because there is no such thing. C.S. Lewis. 7. It is when we notice the dirt that God is most present in us, it is the very sign of his presence. C.S. Lewis. 8. We may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. C.S. Lewis. 9. Relying on God has to begin all over again every day as if nothing had yet been done. C.S. Lewis. 10. Now is our chance to choose the right side. God is holding back to give us that chance. It won't last forever. We must take it or leave it. C.S. Lewis. 11. The real test of being in the presence of God is that you either forget about yourself altogether or see yourself as a small, dirty object. C.S. Lewis. Life Lessons, quotes by C.S. Lewis. 12. What you see and what you hear depends a great deal on where you are standing. It also depends on what sort of person you are. C.S. Lewis. 13. If you look for truth, you may find comfort in the end. If you look for comfort, you will not get either comfort or truth, only soft soap and wishful thinking to begin, and in the end, despair. C.S. Lewis. 14. Someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. C.S. Lewis. 15. Miracles are a retelling in small letters of the very same story which is written across the whole world in letters too large for some of us to see. C.S. Lewis. 16. You never know how much you really believe anything until its truth or falsehood becomes a matter of life and death to you. C.S. Lewis. 17. If I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. C.S. Lewis. 18. Everyone thinks forgiveness is a lovely idea until he has something to forgive. C.S. Lewis. 19. Experience, that most brutal of teachers. But you learn, my God, do you learn? C.S. Lewis. 20. There is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It is too good to waste on jokes. C.S. Lewis. 21. Miracles do not, in fact, break the laws of nature. C.S. Lewis. 22. Failures are finger posts on the road to achievement. C.S. Lewis. 23. Don't let your happiness depend on something you may lose. C.S. Lewis. Love and Relationship quotes by C.S. Lewis. 24. If you love deeply, you're going to get hurt badly. But it's still worth it. C.S. Lewis. 25. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value, rather it is one of those things which give value to survival. C.S. Lewis. 26. What draws people to be friends is that they see the same truth. They share it. C.S. Lewis. 27. Love is not affectionate feeling, but a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good as far as it can be obtained. C.S. Lewis. 28. Love is something more stern and splendid than mere kindness. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis quotes about education. 29. You can make anything by writing. C.S. Lewis. 30 is education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather make a man a more clever devil. C.S. Lewis. 31. Write about what really interests you, whether it is real things or imaginary things, and nothing else. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis quotes about emotion. 32. No one ever told me that grief felt so like fear. C.S. Lewis. 33. Mental pain is less dramatic than physical pain, but it is more common and also harder to bear. The frequent attempt to conceal mental pain increases the burden. It is easier to say my tooth is aching than to say my heart is broken. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis quotes for personal success. 34. Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. C.S. Lewis. 35. Progress means getting nearer to the place you want to be. And if you have taken a wrong turn, then to go forward does not get you any nearer. C.S. Lewis. 36. If you are on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road, and in that case, the man who turns back soonest is the most progressive man. C.S. Lewis. 37. You are never too old to set another goal, or to dream a new dream. C.S. Lewis. Inspirational quotes by C.S. Lewis. 38. The task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts. C.S. Lewis. 39. Now the trouble about trying to make yourself stupider than you really are is that you very often succeed. C.S. Lewis. 40. Things never happen the same way twice. C.S. Lewis. 41. Gratitude looks to the past and love to the present. Fear, avarice, lust, and ambition look ahead. C.S. Lewis. 42. Affliction is often that thing which prepares an ordinary person for some sort of an extraordinary destiny. C.S. Lewis. 43. We are what we believe we are. C.S. Lewis. 44. Affection is responsible for 9/10 of whatever solid and durable happiness there is in our natural lives. C.S. Lewis. 45. We cannot understand. The best is perhaps what we understand least. C.S. Lewis. 46. When a man is getting better, he understands more and more clearly the evil that is still left in him. When a man is getting worse, he understands his own badness less and less. C.S. Lewis. 47. If we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. C.S. Lewis. 48. Do not by any means destroy yourself, for if you live, you may yet have good fortune, but all the dead are dead-like. C.S. Lewis. I hope you liked the above inspiring C.S. Lewis quotes. Don't forget to mention the best line that you liked most from the above lines in the comment box below.